Hey guys, Corey here. Today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't overlook a Fender Signature Series Stratocaster. Hey everybody, let's talk Strats. It's an interesting subject. There are literally thousands and thousands of models from over the last half century. Different models, different configurations, different colors, different shapes, different issues, custom shop. Quite often, when we think of a Strat, we strictly think of the American Standard. But the American Standard is a standard. You know, it's going to have your 3 single coil pickups. It's going to have probably a maple neck. It's going to be a 7.5 to 9.5 inch radius. You're going to have 3 single coil pickups. It's going to have all of the basics, which is great. You need the basics. But something I have found over the years is that while a lot of people give grief to the Fender Signature Series Strats, that's where you get outside the box a little bit and come up with something new to play and maybe find some real inspiration. For example, I own 3 Signature Strats. Well, 4 if you count a Jeff Beck parts caster I had, but pretty much just the wood is Jeff Beck. Everything else is different now. And each one of them offers things that you don't get in a standard Fender line. Like this Clapton, for instance, this is a Fender TBX circuit. This is really neat. For example, from 0 to 5, it's just a normal tone control. Watch. But where it gets interesting is when you go from 6 to 10, because at 6 to 10, it becomes a bass boost / treble boost, or a bass cut, treble cut. And it can really hone in your sound where you're looking for. Another neat thing this guitar has is it has an active mid-boost control inside your, what would be your 3rd tone knob, but is actually your boost control. And check this out. I mean, it makes a dramatic difference. And it's really cool to have at your fingertips because you can play along normally. Roll that. Whoops, not like that. You want to hit the wrong note. But you can roll it up while you're playing. You can roll it down. If you're rolling between clean and filthy, that's a really good tool, right up there next to a volume knob. But this isn't something that comes in a regular Strat, so it's something worth taking your time and trying out, even if it's an artist you're not a huge fan of. For example, I love Eric Johnson, but I would never have thought of buying an Eric Johnson Signature Strat. So I wound up with one in a trade. There's actually a video of me out there doing some work on it recently if you want to see a little more about it. But it's totally different. And overnight, it just went from being a guitar I barely touched to one of my very favorites. And it doesn't have anything special, but it has a tone that's definitely all its own. So let's check that one out. All right, so this one here is my Eric Johnson. This is another longtime favorite of mine. I've had it about, I say long time, year and a half, which in the guitar world can be a long time. But this guitar has a sound all of its own. It's very singy. If you want deep blues, it does it so well. If you want to get high with it, I mean high pitched with it, obviously you can. But its neck feels great. It's got this fat V neck that I really like. It's got a slightly wider fingerboard, and the fingerboard is also radiused to 12.5 inches, which is not something you normally get on a Strat. So, you know, if you're a shredder, this Eric Johnson Strat might have the neck you're looking for. It's something to keep in mind. But again, there's nothing special about it. It's essentially a 57 reissue Strat. It's got the single ply pick guard, the slightly narrower frets. These are kind of tall, but not as fat as they are on some of my guitars. You know, your standard vintage tuners, vintage everything. There's no tremolo cover on the back, just like EJ plays with. This is not, though, a guitar that I would have sought out and thought, you know what, where can I find a Signature Strat? It just wound up lumped into a trade I was working on, and I fell in love with it. It plays like butter. It's got, like I said, a slightly fatter neck, which I'm a real fan of. Some guys don't love that, but personally, I really have a thing for it. But it's got a sound all its own, and that's what drew me to this one. But this is probably the closest to a standard Strat of the three signatures I own, but it's still got its own character. I have a standard as well, but I have these because they each have something different to bring to the table. I want to say, never mind. Forget I said that. But yeah, you know, this is it's a solid piece, maple neck, alder body, and plays like a dream. Everything about it's great. It was a surprise. Normally, it's not something I would have gone after or sought after. It just, like I said, it fell into a trade, and I couldn't help myself. But this isn't my only other one. We've got another one that we're going to pull out here. You've seen it before. It's my Jeff Beck. All right, so this is my Jeff Beck. This is a 1991 model, the first year they issued these. So there are some things that are unique about it. It has the different style Wilkinson roller nut, which can change a lot of things tonally if you're not used to one. You'll occasionally even hear it a little. It's got locking Spurzle tuners, I believe. Yep. And here's where it gets interesting. 4 gold Fender lace sensors. This is not a humbucker. This is a pair of single coil Fender lace sensors. What happens is there's a button right down here, and when you push the button, it pairs them together for a thicker tone. When you let off the button, it sounds a little lighter. It's very minimal, frankly. You can barely hear the difference. But also, this third knob here has the TBX circuit in it, just like the Clapton, except on the Clapton it's in the number 2 one. And it only affects the bridge and neck pickups on this one, where on the Clapton it can affect whichever one you have it on. Another interesting fact about this one, this has one of the fattest necks I've ever played on a Stratocaster. It's a hefty C, rosewood covered maple, obviously, with a 2-piece alder body. I want to say this is a heavy Strat. This is the heaviest Strat I've ever played. It's right at 10 pounds. I don't know what makes it so much heavier than all the others. A little bit of extra material on the neck, but other than that, it's pretty much identical to every other Strat. Let's see. This one also came with something the Jeff Becks came with that a lot of others don't, is the 2-point tremolo. So that's a big difference as well, and something to look out for. You know, if you're a guy who likes his dives and whatnot, you may not get full dive bombs on this, but it's more designed for bending than, say, the classic tremolo is, in my opinion. This will hang in there longer with you before knocking your guitar out of tune. But overall, this one, it's another one I stumbled across. But the second I picked it up and wrapped my hand around that neck and I was like, whoa, this is something I've got to have. This one's a little snappier, I like to think, likely because of the rosewood. I'm assuming that's what causes it. But I like that. You know, it's a really good blues guitar. If you want Jeff Beck clean tones, this one will give them to you, because, you know, his cleans are obnoxiously clean. So this is another one, though, that is totally outside the box. You're not going to walk into Guitar Center or wherever you go, grab an American Standard, and it have these kind of features. The good news is you can get these pretty ripe used. I mean, to find signature strats for $1,100 to $1,400 isn't that uncommon. They're out there; they can be had, and for about the same money as an American standard Strat, a little bit more, but it might be worth the difference to you depending on what your goal is with the guitar. But there are so many other ones. Uh, you know, another interesting one was the Yngwie Malmsteen, which I've never had, but it came with a scalloped fretboard. So that's something you absolutely won't get on an off-the-shelf guitar. There was a nice Robert Cray. They used to have a Buddy Guy. You know, there have been a bunch. Last year they introduced Kingfish and Lincoln Brewster, I want to say. And all of these have a variety of little mods that artist likes. And it's worth checking them out. And just because you don't love the artist doesn't mean it's not worth checking out, because you don't have to love an artist to love, for instance, this feature, you know, with the 2 single coils here, just to fatten it up. You don't have to like Jeff Beck to like this guitar. It helps though. But basically what I want is for you guys to, when you're thinking it's time for a new Strat, don't be too narrow-minded. You never know what you'll find out there that might really speak to you. And just because you see a signature on a headstock, don't scoff at it. Sometimes that's a hell of a guitar you're scoffing at. All in all, I hope this video will help you on your quest to find your next Strat. It's obviously it's a lot of money, so you do your time, your due diligence, put your hands on as many different ones as you can to know what features you like, what features you don't, what finishes you like, and what finishes you don't. This is surf green. Lots of people loathe this. I love it because it's an OG Fender color. I just have always had a thing for it. So next time you go, pick up a few more guitars and try out than what you normally would. You never know what you might come across. I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to watch. It means the world to me and the time I put into making these videos. If you don't mind, please click like and subscribe as well. Maybe hit the little bell so we can let you know when we've got some new content for you. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send me an email at armchaircorey@gmail.com. Corey, C-O-R-E-Y, just so you know. We've got a lot of neat stuff coming down the pipe. We're producing content quite regularly now and trying to keep that going and plan ahead for the months in the future. So I hope we'll see you back. Thanks for watching and have a great week.